Welcome to first impression or early review video for Final Fantasy XVI, you everlasting bastards. Key was provided by Square Enix, believe it or not, and I've played the game for about 15 hours so far and got to about 50% story progression. At least that is what the info screen says, so this is not my final opinion as I am reviewing only these 15 hours so far. Full review is coming after beating the game and doing side stuff. Gonna try to keep this precise and without spoilers. As the title suggests, game is an absolute beauty in terms of presentation. Visual effects are stunning, details on main characters phenomenal, voiceovers are phenomenal, locations are gorgeous, music is 10 out of 10 again, sound effects are great. However, I feel like engine is starting to show its weaknesses as there is some sort of blurriness on characters that are a couple of feet away. Easy to spot, doesn't ruin anything, but sometimes it makes encounters less immersive a bit. Framerate also isn't as stable as it could be, even though I opted for framerate focus. Maybe they fix it in a few days. Don't get me wrong, doesn't ruin the experience at all, but it can be felt at times. In the end, I expected nothing less than at least amazing presentation, which we got. Final Fantasy XIII and XV started to move away from Final Fantasy gameplay roots more and more, but Final Fantasy VII Remake definitely gave me hope that they are going back a bit while also adding modern touches. Well, Final Fantasy XVI is a confirmation that we most likely will never see old-style Final Fantasy again, aside from remakes. They have removed RPG elements as much as possible and turned it into a full-fledged action game. Final Fantasy VII Remake has, in my opinion, best mix of action and turn-based tactic I have ever seen, so I was hoping we would see something like that in 16. Guess perception of this game is gonna be affected a lot by expectations. If you have none, you're golden. If you do have expectations, it is most likely gonna be nostalgic gameplay factors that you won't see here. We can start talking about the gameplay, namely combat, as that is the only gameplay aspect. It is impressive in visual effects, combos and how dynamic it is. Really fun DMC-like combat. There is no team play aside from controlling the wolf with quick commands, which is also one step away from traditional Final Fantasy team-based tactical combat. There are a couple mechanics like dodge, parry upon hitting an enemy while they are attacking, stagger, magic combined with melee strikes, but the main focus is on switching up effects from summons and combining everything into combos. Enemies have stagger gauge that upon hitting them enough times is going to stun for a brief moment. Then combo modifier that increases damage upon unleashing more and more hell on the enemy appears. Simple but fun, and way too easy. Game offered me no challenge in the first half, many options that Clive has lead to easy encounters. Think I've died twice so far. Due to combat style with good variety of attacks, combat never became dull for me though, so far, even with no challenge. Thing is, variety of attacks, chaining combos and fantastic visuals do so much for the game. There are at times too many visual effects on the screen, and that is when enemy attacks are obscured and difficult to read. They could tone it down a little bit, which wouldn't affect the presentation a lot while allowing for clearer combat. Story fights are epically cinematic and technical masterpieces. Fun as well. Not liking QTEs though. Really takes away from the combat when it says on the screen press R1 to evade or similar things. That could have been done automatically without the need to press anything. Summon fights are good, but a bit weak mechanically so far. Again, impressive from technical standpoint with next level animations, visual and sound effects. Overall, action-focused combat is great, but if the game doesn't start throwing proper challenges at me soon, it could become a bit dull, no matter how fun it is so far. Lack of tactical approach also baffles me. Elements mean nothing now. Hitting far-based enemy like bomb with fire attack does same damage as with any other element. Pure action. Good action, but shallow in terms of tactical approach. This leads to biggest disappointment for me, which is character leveling and progression. It is pathetic. Most Final Fantasy games have unique, deep, complex and well thought out character progression system, which is very commendable to be so creative in what is such a difficult aspect for any RPG. Not to mention how difficult it is to create from ground up new ones for each installment. So they have decided not to even bother with it this time around. Clive has 4 stats technically: health, strength, vitality and willpower. all leveled automatically after level up. Always hated automatic attribute scaling in JRPGs without the ability to manually assign points. Whole level up system is pointless. They could have easily removed levels from everything in the game because there is no point to them. You gain ability points that are then used to purchase active abilities that can also be upgraded. Incredible how bare bones this all is. Itemization is terrible as well, as it offers no proper character attribute customization. Weapons have two stats, damage and stagger. Same scaling for each weapon, so there is no real diversity like one weapon that would be great for staggering and one for pure damage. Two accessory types offer defense and health increase. That is it. Amulets are the only worth thing, as they can affect abilities directly with cooldown decrease and damage increase. Also very weak. Why are items and levels in the game at all? Game is clearly an action adventure when it comes to gameplay. They could have made it all cosmetic while powerful abilities being unlocked through story, with most abilities unlocked immediately. Can't believe Final Fantasy, a legendary RPG title, is using RPG-light elements in character progression without anything deeper. Another disappointment for first half of the game is side content. Side quests are scarce and most are boring as hell. Granted, some try to tell a meaningful story and succeed, but most are flat out boring errands. Another system that could have been scrapped altogether. However, can't judge yet side content, as it can change drastically in second half of the game. In the first half it is, aside few quests, terrible.
I have something for you.
From the Chamberlain. Thank you.
Now we come to story. Gonna gloss over the fact story beginning has way too many similarities to Game of Thrones, and commend it big time. Dark story with lots of murder and difficult moments. Couple great characters as well, like Sid, who is fantastically written. Clive, main character, is more of a typical Square protagonist, but he has enough depth and fantastic story revolving around the death of his brother. When the game hooks me to find out what is going on, then I know they are doing the right thing. World is divided through more than a few kingdoms who are in war with each other, while blight is slowly creeping, and no one knows where it is coming from and why. As Clive, we are searching for answers about our brother's death, and later on blight takes over as main focus. I'm very interested where story is going to take us next. Some stuff is predictable, there are a couple weak moments that are supposed to be this big emotional thing, so it didn't hit the right notes, but general story is really good. Final opinion on whole story in the full review. At the moment Final Fantasy 16 is for me 7 out of 10 game, which means a good one. Final score is gonna be heavily influenced with how rest of the story plays out and if there's going to be any substantial side content. Game has glaring and pretty terrible weaknesses so far, but is on the other hand quite spectacular. Stay tuned for soon to come full review.